Hello YouTube, this is Daniel from DB Tech Projects, back with another AWS project. This is going to be a multi-part series on this football stats website which I built hosted in AWS. This football stats website which will take a home team and an away team provided by the user. It will then get the most common result for when those two teams have played each other, the most common score, and also the most common possession. This website is eventually querying a SQL database which holds a whole lot of football data going back to the 1800s for the result and the scores, and for the last 2 years for the possession. So just to give you a brief example of this, let's just put in two teams, so Everton and Manchester United. Now if we click get result, we can see the most common result for the home and away was a home win, so an Everton win, and the most common score was 0-0, and the possession stats were 54% for the away team and 46% from the home team. And this is just generated on the fly from JavaScript. So looking at the infrastructure behind this, I've drew up this little diagram here. So we have our website stored in S3 and a CloudFront distribution set up for the image here as well, and that is just to mimic a real-world web application. So if we had edge users that were far away from where this website was hosted, they could then download the images of the website from the edge location, so they'll be able to download it at a quicker rate rather than actually going to where the website is hosted and downloading the images from there and potentially having a bad viewing experience. So after the CloudFront and the front end, we then have an API gateway layer. The front end will send the values for the home team and the away team to the API gateway. Each API gateway will then invoke some Lambda functions here. So the Lambda functions will then query the database depending on what values were selected. So this API gateway may be for the result. This Lambda function will then query the database to get the most common result for whenever those teams played each other. This one may be for the most common score, and this one for the possession. The database and the Lambda functions are also in their own VPC. They are not in the default VPC. And this also has multi-AZ configured as well for the Lambda functions and also for the RDS instances. So in this video, we're going to be focusing just briefly on the front end. The main bulk of this video will be on the API gateways, Lambda functions, and the infrastructure that we've actually set up in AWS. So I just want to get the front end out of the way first in this video. If you guys want to skip ahead and go to the next videos, that's completely fine. But just for this video, we're going to be focusing on the front end. So in the front end, we can see a bit more of the general workflow of the website. So we can see the user provided Everton and Manchester United. We sent that to the API gateway. We've seen that the script was run, and this is the event that we actually sent off to our API gateway, which then is used with our Lambda functions. This is the data that we got back for the possession. So we can see we've got 46 and 54, and then we then generated this pie chart from those values here. So looking briefly at the code, we have a head element here, which holds the sources for our scripts. So we're using the Ajax API to perform our API requests, and also we have the SDK here. I'm not too sure if that is relevant anymore. With regards to the CSS and everything else, this is all in the GitHub. There's not really much CSS here. This definitely isn't a front end video. This is more focused on the back end. So moving on, the index.html, we have the CloudFront section here, which we're just going to paste the CloudFront URL of our image into this image source tag. We then have a form set up. This form has two values here, so we have the field 1 and field 2 for the home and away team. We then have a button here which will invoke a validate form function, and we just labeled that get result, which I showed you earlier in the demonstration. We then have two text areas set up here, one for the result and one for the score, and we use these IDs later. We then have a canvas set up here, and this is just where the pie chart is going to be placed. We then have a script log, which has the validate form function, which will be triggered from our result button, which we showed you up here. So the validate form function will take the values in those fields and then assign them to these values here. So we have the home team and away team, and we would take the values from those fields and use those. If any of these are empty, this will present an error here, which will just alert onto the screen, just saying that the teams must be filled out. Normally you would put this into your HTML and provide a nice readable output for your users, but that's not really relevant here as this is just a project. So we're just going to alert if any of the details are empty. We will then log this to our console just to show the progress of the request. We then create an event object, which will then be passed to our API request. We then have 3 API requests set up here. So we have the post for the result API, the score API, and the possession. The result and score are very similar. So when the API post has been successful, we then get the element ID of result, which is the text view up here. So text ID result. And we change the inner HTML to this string here, most common result, and then we just append the data that we get back from the API, which will be the most common result for the two teams. We're then doing a very similar thing with the score. We're just getting using document.getElement by ID for score, and then editing the inner HTML for most common score, and then just appending the data. So for the possession element of this website, I didn't actually write this code. I used a website here called pie charts in JavaScript. So I will paste this in the description for you guys if you want to check it out. But it's a very simple way to just generate a pie chart for your website. You just provide a bunch of integer values, but we're providing it 2 values for the possession, for the home team and away team. Some labels here, and also just like the height and the width, and it will actually just play it out for you and then provide a nice pie chart for your users. And this is just the code here which comes with that. So again, I'm just providing the 2 numbers for the possession. So that is the end of the first part of this project. In the next parts, I will talk about the Lambda functions, the API gateway, and the RDS and the VPC. I will also go on to talk about the CloudFormation templates that I've used to deploy this, and also show you the templates which I've written, which will redeploy this whole application with a few clicks. As always, the code for this whole project is in my GitHub, which I'll provide the link to in the description, along with any other further resources which I've used. So yeah guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please like and please subscribe.